Hello guys, welcome in today's session. So today in this video we will be discussing regarding the ILI Viva-Voce preparation for 2023. So first of all, congratulations to all the students who will be watching this video for the interview session that is conducted on 29th and 30th of this month. So before going ahead, I like to wish you all the best for your interview sessions. सी ज़्यादा परेशान होने की नीड नहीं है। इंटरव्यू में आप स्पेशली कोई अलग से तैयारी नहीं कर सकते। जो आपने ओवरऑल अब तक की होगी वही काम आएगी। इंटरव्यू इज अ टेस्ट ऑफ योर 5 years ओवरऑल नॉलेज बट नॉट एनीथिंग एल्स। तो आपको इसलिए थोड़ा रिलैक्स करने की नीड है। अपने बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट का ये ब्रशअप करिए जो आप पढ़ चुके हैं। कुछ नया एक्स्ट्रा आप कर नहीं पाएंगे इस टाइम पे, बट to help you out I'm just coming up with certain expected questions जो कि last years पूछे गए थे बच्चों से भी, and which I think might be also there certain suggestions and questions added from my side too which can be done by you. So presenting this, here we go. So as you all know, this is about myself. Moving about ILI and coming to your the subjects. First of all, look at the subjects. क्योंकि कई बार पूछ भी सकते हैं because last time certain students were asked like which specialization they want to opt. So you should know the categories that the ILI offer. They offer in criminal law, constitutional law, IPR, human rights, and legal pedagogy. So out of these, you should be aware of the fields which they offer because sometimes they may ask you, and if you are not able to know the thing, they will say, if you don't know this, why should the things may go against you. So you should be aware with that particular idea which field you're applying, and then if you apply any particular field, be it constitutional or criminal law, they may pose the questions from that particular field. Now coming to the interview process, so basically it's a 2-day process, 1 day for unreserved and 1 day for reserved, and 5 to 10 minutes questions just last for candidate. However, this is not a standard time. For some, it may be around 2 minutes also. For me, in my case, it was 2 minutes. I was wrapped up quite early, though there were around 8 to 10 questions. I answered them easily, and there was not much discussion extra because from me, only one teacher asked the question. So apart from that, out of the overall analysis, what I felt last year was there was diversity in questions with various subjects covered. And generally, if I say the ratio, like if 10 students went for the interview, then out of them, 3 students were asked asked the questions in the interview from the form which they filled. So whenever we fill for the ILI exam, we fill a form regarding the subject we studied in LLB. So if you have a college which provides for honors or you do a specialization in a particular subject at the end of a semester, and if you mention that in the form, there's chances question can be on that particular field also. So you should be quite aware with what you have filled and all. So that will surely help you. Now, those are constitutional law in that subject field. The questions might be from constitutional law. However, it's not any fixed rule that they will be based on that thing only. There might be general question answers also, and there may be like if there's a panel of last time there was a panel of 5 teachers that was taking interview. So there may be might more or might be less. So don't get perturbed by that fact. Now coming to certain observations, first of all, so questions were asked from constitutional law, environmental law, justice system also, like what is inquisitorial system, what is adversarial system. So first of all, get idea about what is justice system in India. Then certain students were asked to recite the preamble. So I request everyone to you go through the idea of preamble. What are the objectives, source of power, what are the ideals provided, how many types of justice question can be there. So try to just go through the look of the preamble, then have a clarity on the core concepts. See, as I told earlier also, in interview, you can't add on any particular extra knowledge. Whatever you have encapsulated in the over 5 years, that only gonna help you. And meanwhile, you can only do is to revise the P8 subject, which I always quote, be it consti, contract, IPC, criminal law, environmental law, torts, juris. So these subjects overall mainly are asked, so you can go through them. Some portion of tort also. And if you're not aware with the answer, I'll say just accept the fact that you don't know and just apologize them. Sorry, sir, I don't know about this thing. You can apologize and go ahead, but don't try to bluff them. Now coming to the subjects which needs attention. So these are the subjects, as I mentioned, the P8 subjects: Constitution, PIL, Criminal Law, IPC, Torts, Jurisprudence. Now coming to criminal law, you don't need to study CRPC, CPC in detail. You should know the gist of something, very prominent things like bail, plea bargaining, victim compensation, or coming to arrest. These are things. You don't need to go with the specialization of the criminal, that session trial and all those things. There's no much required in that thing. The things which are in too much of news daily, inherent powers of the High Court, etc. Now coming to contemporary topics, I'll request every one of you to go through this because even the ILI subjective paper you saw a question based on the contemporary knowledge of same-sex marriage. Now we have seen the demonetization judgment has also been upheld. EWS recent judgment came. Hijab ban controversy, Kerala story ban, then prostitution as a profession was held in Buddhev Karmaskar case, and the recent 2000 note which has been taken by the step by the government to take it back. So any legal complications which may arise, any issues with them, this you need to study. Apart from that, environmental law and certain aspects of family law. Family law not much detail, the general ideas of the Hindu Marriage Act and Muslims like the terms like dover, talaq, and what is the inheritance, all rad. So you just have a brief idea. Now coming to the certain additional points that I was telling you. So first of all, see, since random panels are asked, and I told you they were a panel of 5 professors last time, and in my case, however, one professor went out, so 4 of them were left. And see, generally interview process starts like your time is 9:50, but last time it started on 10 o'clock. So I'll request you to reach on time. Might this time it might be starting on the particular time only. And once you go inside the room, don't try to be nervous. Please be maintained in a well-dressed formal uniform, because your first impression also helps you to get a good attraction from the panelists, and also it shows that you are a personality who would have an idea of personality development. So then, first of all, as you go inside, just wish the teachers, and once suggested to sit down on the chair, be comfortable and listen to the questions very patiently, what they're trying to ask you, and don't try to jump into conclusions, imagining thing that you know this answer, and you start answering in the middle. So let him complete with the question, understand it, and then answer the question. Secondly, don't bluff it, and don't try to come into the talks of the aspirants who suggest random things, because when you sit in that conference room, which is the adjacent to the interview room, because a lot of people sit there and they say, "Are ye important? Are wo important?" I don't try to jump into new things. Whatever you have studied till now, try to go ahead with that thing only. Now coming to the questions which were asked to me, as well as my one of my friend and other candidates. So I have to analyze certain questions which were asked to me. This covers questions which were asked to me and one of my friend also in international law, and other slide contains about the general questions that have been asked. So coming to me, as I mentioned in my form regarding my honors in international law. So Manoj, who is the director of ILI, himself only addressed me question around 8 to 10 questions of international law were addressed to me. He asked me question regarding what is the difference in treaty and protocol. And if you know the concept of recognitions, we have de facto, de jure. Even there's a concept of collective recognition. So you should be having an idea with that. And who maintains international peace and security? Regarding this recognition, you can go through any article. What is de facto, de jure, treaty, protocol? As you all know, protocol is basically an addition to any particular treaty. Like we have optional protocol in Geneva Conventions. We have protocols to the CEDAW Convention. And then who maintains international peace and security? So question was on Security Council. What it is, where it is mentioned in the UN Charter. What are the provisions? On what particular grounds action are taken by the council, what are the methods by which it maintains international peace and security. So these grounds, what are the grounds on which UNSC takes action? As you all know, there are two types of method in Security Council can take. There are peaceful method also, and there are force method which can be used. If you do Article 41, 42 and other articles of the UN Charter, you can go through that. And generally how the peaceful methods and what are the force methods are used, like what are the methods like Pacific blockade, embargoes, and all those methods. So you can go through that. And coming to the entry 13 and 14 of list one, why this question I was not aware with it, so I just apologize him. But he asked you should know this because the relevancy of this entry 13 and 14 lies its connection with Article 253. As you all know, 253 deals with the ratification concept. Like if we have an international agreement, the parliament is empowered to make law on basis of that, even if it's subject which is in the state list. So Article 253 is linked to the entry 13 and 14 of the list 1. Then San Francisco Conference, through which UN was built, collective recognition, United Nations peace resolution, which shows the relation between General Council and Security Council in cases if General Council can also intervene regarding the peace and prevention of security. And then coming to the difference in ICC and ICJ, what is the jurisdiction for the both? What are the grounds of criminal jurisdiction of that? What are the grounds that are covered in the ICC? What are the grounds that are covered in the ICJ? What is the difference in asylum and extradition? Now you should also study about the Russia-Ukraine war also, like what are the provisions that are inter-violated and in the UN Charter only, and if any other law. Like if you know there's a provision in the UN Charter in Article 2 that talks about states should not use force and respect there is a territory, they should not interference, there is a concept, and there is a use of force for self-defense, Article 51. So you can just go through those provisions also. Then difference in IHL and human rights law. You know, international humanitarian law basically applies in wartime conditions, that is the armed conflict or non-armed conflict, while human rights law is a general law that provides certain rights which are to be given to the individual because of its very existence. So these were the questions that were asked to me. Now coming, certain questions were asked to me constitutional law also, like Article 72, 161, 368. And these are the certain questions which were asked to other candidates, and I've tried to cover the subject wise also in this, which questions were there. In constitution, they focused on article like as I told, article 72, 161, and your constitution and constitutionalism. Then in environment law, questions on certain case laws like Subhash Kumar case related to which aspect, which case deals with the precautionary principle in India, which was the first case that for the sustainable development. Then the cases of MC Mehta, principles of international law like dealing with the environment, that is your sustainable development, precautionary principle, intergenerational equity, public trust doctrine. So these can be asked. Why we celebrate Environmental Day on 5th June, as you all know, Stockholm Conference, very important thing of 1972. So based on that, we celebrate Environment Day. Then preamble and DPSP of the Constitution. Writs question was on this. What's the difference in prohibition, certiorari, what is covenant and all those things. Then question on basic structure can also be seen, like from where it started, what are the certain features that have been added till now. And doctrine of constitutions a very important question. Last time many questions were asked certain case laws like FN Balsara case belongs to which doctrine, in which doctrine you will see Kyoto Holuman case, your the case which is there for doctrine of eclipse, I'm not Bhikaji Nareen, that case. So questions were asked regarding those things like doctrine of art, article 13, whichever covered in that article 13 and doctrines, you should be well versed with that. Then center state relations also form a very important part. You should try to learn the doctrines given in this, be it colorable legislation, be it your doctrine of territorial nexus, be it your pith and substance colorable this territorial nexus. So just have an idea is to it and the case laws associated with it. Then next is the articles based questions on president, its impeachment, how he's elected, electoral college comprising of what are the articles dealing with him, how is the ordinance making power of the president, whom he appoints, what is the executive powers, financial powers, pardoning powers, and the case laws. Then comes to the Supreme Court, you all know very important comes the appointment, its contempt, where it is provided, what is his jurisdiction, what types of jurisdiction are there, what is advisory jurisdiction, how the president is removed, how the judges of the Supreme Court are removed. Then coming the ordinance making power of president, what are the grounds of the emergency, how many types of emergency, what are the procedure, how much majority is there in every house for the approval of the emergency if proclaimed by the president. Then coming to the next is certain important amendments also, which are there like 103rd Amendment, be it the 105th Amendment, 99th Amendment. So certain idea you should have about amendment also. And in criminal law topics also, the topics of this bail, arrest, investigation, plea bargaining, commutation, victim compensation scheme should be looked up by you. Then in IPC generally should try to cover only the major offenses, which are like theft, extortion, robbery, dacoity, murder, your proper legal defenses, punishment chapter, the defense that we have starting chapter definition clauses, just general ideas. And certain times questions were also last time asked on defense in culpable homicide and murder. Last time there was a subjective question also based on this. So you should know about Rek versus Govinda. You should know difference in 34 and 149 section. Sometimes question they may ask you like, have you ever written any research paper, and if have you ever written, you say yes, then they can ask you what is doctrinal research. So for that you should know the ideas to doctrinal and empirical research. Then in jurisprudence questions for they are based on hedonistic calculus. You know Bentham deals with this. The theory of utilitarianism. What are the schools in jurisprudence? The difference in opposition and ownership. What is the definition of position according to some persons? And you all know there are right theory and interest theory. So based on that also questions for their personality. What are the tests of personality? And the Hoffeldian analysis is very important. What are dual postulates, dual opposites, dual contradictories? Should know that chart RLPD, that is right liberty charts which are there. So you should have an idea with that. And in contract, you all know section 1 to 75, you should have a very good idea because that's a very crux of the contract. Questions can be any type of questions like be it what are voidable contracts, what are coercion, what is fraud, what is mistake as to fact and law, difference in that, what fact as to mistake as to Indian law, mistake as to foreign law. Then questions based on the voidable contracts from 25, 23 and 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. What is a wagering contract? What is a contingent contract? Then what is a performance? What is anticipatory breach? What are the breach of contract? What are quasi contracts? So based on those things, you should have an idea what is innovation. These basic points you should study 1 to 75. Then torts, you should only focus on keywords of the torts like the general defenses, what are the vicarious liability, negligence, trespass, malicious prosecution, whether intention is required in torts or not. And in torts, as you all know, there are two types of theories. Is it law of tort or it's law of torts between Salomon and Winfield? So pigeonhole theory versus unity theory. So you should have an idea as to that also. Now my suggestion would be see core laws. If you have a time like you have around 3 days, focus on core laws. Try to just recollect everything which you have. Don't have to memorize much. You have to just answer them in hardly 10 seconds, so try to wrap up because there may be more questions. So आपको short crisp answer देना है. And also just आप local subjects जैसे partnerships होगा, इनका भी कोई brush up कर लीजिएगा, क्या पता questions पूछ लीजिए because they are also part of the syllabus of ILI overall paper. Questions इसके भी बन सकते हैं. And if you suppose are not in good position, आपकी किस्मत इतनी खराब रहे कि आपसे बाकी कोड लॉस यही सब पूछ रहे हैं, तो आपको आइडिया कुछ तो होना चाहिए बताने का, नहीं तो आपके इंटरव्यू का स्कोर गड़बड़ हो सकता है. So before these were the things that I wanted to tell, and after this I'll just say आप tickets अपना अरेंज करिए बिकॉज शॉर्ट नोटिस पे आया है, तो टिकट्स भी जरूरी नहीं मिले, वेटिंग का भी सीन हो सकता है. सो जस्ट हैव योर टिकट्स एंड गेट इनटू द इंपॉर्टेंस प्रोविजंस फॉर these subjects. And for the interest of sake, all my best wishes are with you guys and hope to see lot of you get selected in this exam. Wish you all the best and try to be just positive, calm and composed. Don't try to bluff. These were the factors which I would like to highlight with you all. And वहाँ पे जाके अपना बेस्ट देने की कोशिश करना. This is not the last thing. You have other opportunities also coming. अगर होता है तो ठीक है, और जिन कैंडिडेट्स ऑलरेडी स्कोर 100+ है तो उनके लिए तो दे आर इन गुड पोजीशन ओनली. बट जो 80 से 100 की लाइन के लोग हैं, अपना इंटरव्यू को थोड़ा और सीरियसली लीजिए बिकॉज इससे आपकी रैंक्स ऊपर नीचे हो सकती हैं. कुछ बच्चे होते हैं जो नहीं आते इंटरव्यू में, तो उनका आपको एडिशन मिलेगा. प्लस अगर आपके मार्क्स थोड़े अच्छे आएंगे, बाकी कम होंगे, तो आपकी रैंक जो 2-3 मार्क्स आगे पीछे हो रही थी वो एडजस्ट हो सकती है. माइट बी चांसेस इफ यू आर मिसिंग राइट नाउ, आफ्टर इंटरव्यू कैन कम इन द final list that has been released by the ILI. So with this, I'd like to conclude. Thank you guys. Wish you all the best for the exam, this interview and Viva-Voce. Thank you guys.